How's it going, ScrubGamers? Welcome back to another video here at ScrubGames, and today I'm going to do a review of all the set 17 leaders on where I think they are going to be in the meta comparatively to casual speaking. But before we get into the video, feel free to like the video if you enjoy it, comment down below anything you want to comment, and also subscribe if you're new, because that helps you keep up to date with my videos as when they drop, especially if you click the notification bell. That gives you alerts as to when my videos do drop, and it helps me get to my goal of 1,000 subs. I'm currently a third of the way there. And every 100 subs, I do a giveaway, so the next one being 400, and when we get to 1,000 subs being my goal, then I'll do a special thing, but I'll detail that as we get closer to there, because we're still not even halfway there. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So, if you've been watching my videos and looking at subscribe to my channel, you'll see that I did a review of the leaders in each colour over different videos, also going over some of the other leaders before the set in different colours to see, let's say, like which ones I feel have competitive viability. And I feel like the best thing I could do with that is also go over with a tier list to go and summarise where I feel they'd be from the new set in one go, like just basically do a summary of the video. So I have here a tier list with all the leaders on, so here we go. And I've got all 9 leaders because we only had one in black being Toa. And what I've got is the different tiers, being the Z tier, where basically where I think, if I put something in here, is where I think is going to be highly competitive, like straight out the box, going to be a very good competitive leader, like, and be present in the meta going forward. Then I have the A tier being the competitive one, where I think it'll be competitive, maybe not as prominent in the meta, but still a good deck that can be competitive and perform. Then I have B tier, a deck I feel has potential, where either it isn't at the moment as strong, like not as casual, like not really a casual level, like low, but I feel like it has potential, and if it gets a bit more support, it could reach the level of other decks in the meta at the moment. And then we got the C tier, which is casual fun deck. These are ones that aren't that strong, but I feel as a fun deck at local levels could be a good shout. And then we got the D tier, which is absolute trash tier. Like these are decks where like Raditz and Reboot Raditz go and stay. So let's have a look and see where I feel he's going to be on. So I'll go by colour order. So I'll go from red to blue to green to yellow to black. Be fair. And we've got 2 red leaders. We've got a Goku GT leader and Rildo. I'll pick Rildo first because it's one of my favourite characters from GT. Well, my favourite character from GT. And this one I'm going to put in the B tier because I feel it has potential. It's not that strong. It is essentially, it's not officially a reboot of the Mew leader from set 3, because it does the same thing about free playing machine mutants, but this one is 1 and only has real draw from doing stuff outside the leader on the front side, but it does have alternative awakening. It's just very iffy on what the turn play progression is because it's not that clear given the archetype. And like with most red leaders, it's very like with most red and green actually, because they're both the same in the sense. Like red and green are typically archetype based strategies. If you look at all formats, King Piccolo, U7 Goku, things like that, they've been very heavily archetyped, and same can be seen for Rildo. But unlike the rest, it's not clear on what really you want to do. Turn play progression and even the unison we get in the set for it doesn't really work well with that. But I feel like given that it can also it also has access to the baby chain, like the old baby chain we used to have, and other baby support. And if we get more like that, I thought it could be a bit stronger if it gets more support. But at the moment, I feel it has potential, but I don't feel it's going to be that competitive. But it's going to be a little bit better than most casual decks. And then we have the GT Goku. This one I'm chucking straight into the Z tier because it just seems like a very good deck. Because it starts off straight away with the unison, but a little bit different to how the Yellow Turtle starts off with unison. This one's actually relevant because the Yellow Turtles, you can't ramp up the markers that easily, so it can be attacked into and removed quite quickly, especially if you're going against aggro. And with this one, it can ramp up markers a lot on its unison. Like by turn one, like after your first turn, you can get about 6 markers on there. So you've got 6 markers, and that's very hard to remove 6 markers like in the first turn or first 2 turns from a unison. And red has some really good stuff that helps like fend off aggro in the form of like Yamcha, Mr. Brad, Wolfman Fist and stuff. Some really nice tools go well with it. And like we've seen with a lot of decks, it also has a second hand because of it can put cards under its unison to help accumulate the markers and then play them from there. So similar to how like Cell had the drop area where it's a second hand, Bojack and the 17 have it in their energy, things like that. You like his hand side is technically false because he can play stuff from outside his hand from the unison, so it's got like a larger hand size than they actually say when they count the hand. And I feel this like every deck that has this kind of attribute is very good, and this one is straight off the bat really good. And plus being red, it's got some excellent red tools and even some great finishes as well. So I feel it's going to be in the Z tier. So not looking too bad with the red so far, like a highly competitive and a potential deck from it. And let's have a look at blue. So I'm going to start with the Gammas, and I feel this goes up with the GT Goku as well, because just similarly, it can play stuff from energy, just like it's got the combination of like 17 and Bojack, like Android 16 and Bojack, in the fact it can play stuff from energy, and it also has like something that only a band leader has, which is SS3 Goku, which at the end of its turn, it gets untapped free energy in a sense, because it gets to draw 1, then return 3 androids from your energy to your hand, that are blue, and then put 3 cards back in your energy. So you're technically picking up your rested energy and putting back untapped energy. So you're untapping every turn. What is restrictive though, on what you can play after you use that, restricted to androids, you still have access to Baby Hatch being a blue deck, best secret rare for blue, really in any blue deck. And it does have some nice stuff in the form of the blue androids. So I feel getting that untap every turn, drawing also, it has got an alternative awakening, which is really good, where if you've got a unison with a specific cost of 2 in play, you can awaken, untapping 1, drawing 2, go down to 6 life. And you've got some really good unisons in that form with like the hit unison and stuff like that, where you can get a +1 every turn to draw. So I feel this deck could be really good, and given that it's blue, very defensive, and has a nice archetype looking from what we've got in the set, plus the Android 16 stuff, technically supporting it. And then we have the Everyone, the Commander Red. This is going straight in the trash tier. Absolute trash, I feel. It looked pretty interesting from the trailer, because it had the it looked like it was going to be something like Launch and the Flip Gohan, where it had no Awaken, and it looked like it was going to be able to do a flip over back and forth. But sadly it doesn't. It doesn't flip back and forth, it flips over once, and doesn't have Awaken, and doesn't do anything when it flips over as well, so it's technically got the same kind of Awakening as Yellow Bojack, which does nothing, so you gain nothing from Awakening. And it's very difficult to awaken as well, because you need a 2 cost. You need a Commander Red in your battle area. That's blue, I think. And there's only 2 of them in the set. They're both 2 cost 15Ks, meaning they didn't work with the extra card that supports the archetype. And you need it to be in your battle area and sacked off. And it can easily be stopped being a 2-drop as well. Neither of them have Deflect to protect themselves, to make sure you can get on the board to then go on. And it just doesn't do that much. It just requires you to sack off your stuff in your battle area to get stuff, which doesn't seem that great, and it doesn't even look that fun as a casual deck either. But as blue, so you have a bigger gap than previously. With the Gammas, like red had a little gap, blue had a huge gap, being one that was fantastic and one that was trash. And then we have now the green. So I'm going to start off with Cooler, and I feel that's going to be highly competitive as well, because green has been technically reviewed as the worst colour in the game at the moment, just because with green, most of the plays that it does are a lot dearer than say what another colour can do. Like it's quite costly to do things in green compared to other colours where it's quite cheap and effective. And green has only had like a select few decks that potentially can have like a playability, like King Cold being probably the best up until now, the best green deck to play, because it's just cheap and effective how it plays. It can play quite versatile, and it can be quite aggressive, quite defensive, quite controlling. And you've got things like Turtles and the Green Majin Buu, which can do well, but they can do cheaper plays, but they're then let down by the fact that some things are still costly as well, and that green doesn't maintain a good hand. But Cooler feels like it's going to change that, because it's got a nice strategy involving around unisons, which is new, and it has access to some really nice tools as well. to be, and it's got the option of just drawing, soft awakening as well, everything built in. And even though it's focused around unisons, it's got a nice activate battle on the awakened side, where you can use any unisons in your hand that would normally be dead in any other deck to give yourself combat power, or a power boost to either your lead or unison, which is fantastic. And in that sense, I feel it's going to be one of those decks that's going to come straight out of the box, and especially with this color as well. Both leaders are cooler for green, so it gives a lot of cooler fans some nice fan service. And then with the Everyone's a meta cooler, now this is going to go straight into the C tier, because it's the same thing as it has been every time for cooler, where it's just revolving around infinite multiplication meta cooler, and all that is a 15k beat stick. That's it. Like, you can play as many of them you can in your deck. Like, it does have a nice effect on the fronts, on the awakened side, where and it does have built-in self-awakening too. And it can be a 20k leader if you've got 20 like on your board I think board drop and energy. I think like if you it just says on the awakened side, it's permanent where your leader gains permanently 5k if it's got 20 or more meta coolers in certain areas that are public. And that's quite nice, but 20 is quite hard to get there, because if you think about 20, you're playing a 50 card deck. That's a heavy amount of your deck that you've got to see, and you've got to see those and have them. If you've seen nothing else, you've just got 15k beat sticks, and that's what is a beatdown spam, which a lot of games do have. Like I remember for Yu-Gi-Oh that had like a vanilla beatdown, but it's a bit more effective than that, and it literally just gets shut down by most things. Like green can just normally wipe out your board quite easily and effectively. Yellow can just tap it all down, so you're not really doing anything. Red can just remove and minus the power of all of them, and blue can just put on a bean, and you've got to then start chucking cards into your swings that kind of combo up, and then blue can just negate or put another bean on. But I feel for a casual deck it'd be quite fun, because for casual level decks, 15k beatdown swarm, it can be quite effective, but competitively not so much. So not too, once again, another big, well, not the largest gap, but still a gap where you've got, so far each of these colours I feel have a highly competitive leader in them, but then the other leaders have been a little bit less. And then with yellow, we'll go off with the Goku on Spin Hypes, because I'll put in A tier. It is like the cooler, just has some differences. So with cooler, with the auto on the either side when it attacks, it's got a nice option that you're never going to whiff from. You ever draw. If you don't want to draw, you play a unison from your hand with a specific cost of 1, that's green. So either way you're not whiffing, whereas Goku, on the front side it can whiff, because it's swing, take a life, well, take up to 1 life if you want to, and then you look at the top 5 cards of your deck and you can play a yellow unison with a specific cost of 1 among them. If you don't see one, that's it, you didn't get anything, which is a lot different. Cooler at least is gaining something kind of a draw or playing something, whereas Goku potentially miss something and not gain anything at all. But when it awakens, it then allows you to draw and play something from your hand, which isn't too bad. But then the big key difference I feel between these is that Cooler has an activate battle on its awakened side that can turn unisons that are in your hand that may be dead during your opponent's turn into combat power, into power to defend, whereas Goku doesn't have that. It does have something similar to it, but it's once per turn and a battle card in the battle card that you got to play. And it also does have a way to make use of markers on your unison once per turn now to defend, which isn't too bad but not as great. It's similar to Cooler, but they do have the differences, and I feel Cooler is probably a stronger version. But Yellow does have some nice good tools where it's got a really nice defense, nice generic cards to help you out, and it does have a good way to push the lead as well, because it's got a second activate main, tapping 2 yellow and putting back 8 unisons from your drops to recycle them, so you can keep the unisons going and give your leader card a 10k double strike that I think restands as well, which is quite cool. And because of this, I feel it's going to be competitive, just because it's got a nice strategy, and also being yellow normally bumps you up a tier for most decks. And then we've got Piccolo. Now for Piccolo, it's an interesting one, and for the reason I'm going to tell you, I'm going to put it in B tier where it has potential. Now the leader is fantastic. It's just you got auto on both sides, where you got to put a Namekian from your hand under the lead. On the front side, you draw a card and look at top 5 to find a Namekian, and on the awakened side, you draw 2 cards after putting a Namekian under your leader. So very good draw from that. Also, it's got alternative awakening condition, where once you've got 2 cards under it, so after 2 attacks, and you've got 2 cards under your lead, you can then do the whole thing of awakening by flipping over and drawing a card, untapping an energy, and you get down to 5 life, which is a really good thing because you got that old Guru super combo that can be used at 5 or less life, and you've got the token negate, which you need to be at 5 or less life to be able to negate attack, get a token, so that's live straight away as soon as you awaken, and then gets you down to 4 if you want to use things like the Krillin super combo. And then on the awaken side, it's got a permanent that allows you to use cards from underneath it for Union Absorb costs for on your Namekian Union Absorbs, and a nice activate battle to make use of the cards underneath if you don't want to use them for Union Absorb, by being able to basically detach a card from underneath it to gain 5k for a battle either turn. So looking at just the leader, it's fantastic, but the issue being is it's reliant on Namekian cards, which this game has a lot of Namekian cards, but not many powerful ones. Like, it does have some good ones in like the Yellow Lord Slug and stuff like that, and things like Assimilate Ability, but most of them are quite costly, and we haven't got the best selection. But I've put in B tier where it has potential, because I feel like the more Namekian support we get, the more Namekian cards we get in future, we can power up this deck to make it even better. This is one that I'll be definitely picking up and trying to fall it out with at least a leader and a few other cards ready for more Namekian support we get in future. And now that comes to the last colour, black, with only one leader left, being Toa. And this is one I'm going to put in the B tier, has potential, because it's quite an interesting one, because it's all around revolving around tokens and skillness, which tokens unless they have blocker are technically skillness, and it's something different that Black has now, because there's not many different there's not many black decks that aren't revolved around Black Saiyan leaders, because with the Gogeta Zeno package, it gives Black Saiyan leaders a big boost, having this nice, easily used package that you can just put in any Black Saiyan deck and just do very well with. But since it's been hit now with the errata of, well, not the errata, but the limit of thwarting the Dark Empire and the removal of the other one, Magnificent Might, I think, Marvelous Might, I think it might be called. And that's hit a package that goes in most black decks, which means now there's going to be a change up with black decks now, like how they build, thinking about them. And while we do have some other decks like Hatchak and Selzino, they have their own kind of like niche, where like Hatchak is a nice floodgate deck to shut down aggro decks and be a more controlling deck, and people will think about how they're actually going to make people really think about how they're going to sequence their plays and sequence their turns, and then Selzino being a never mill deck to help to give that alternative win condition. Now Toa is quite an interesting one because it revolves around tokens, so that's that niche that we've been seeing for the past few sets. More decks getting some fun niches that revolve around a certain way, and this is all around tokens, which we haven't had. I don't think we haven't had for a while, and I feel because it's got some old support from the Migra from Anniversary Box. That's a card that can support Toa and the Migra, and it also has that nice poutine engine, which looks quite fun and quite strong. And because of that, I feel it could be quite nice. It does have an alternative awakening condition, which is cool, and black generally has some really good tech cards as well. But that is it. That is my that's the list that I feel for the new set. So quite something for every tier. So you got 3 decks that I feel like could be highly competitive. 1 deck I feel is going to definitely be competitive, but not highly competitive. 3 decks that I feel have potential, given that future support or how they're built. 1 casual deck in Metacooler. Metacooler will always be casual in my eyes. And then 1 absolute trash deck in the Red Ribbon, down with the dumps, like joining Raditz and such. So that is it from me today. Comment down below if you agree or disagree with any of my choices. Get a bit of discussion going where you feel they'll be on the tier list, and start some discussion about this. But that is it from me today. Once again, feel free to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.